Boy, when it's only two of us, there's not a lot of preamble, is there?
No, I mean, EJ would just be talking about his ailments and food that he's made recently, and we would just be listening and chiming in.
Made a nice pork katsu, a little bit of a
We just ordered katsu last night.
Oh, very nice. A little bit of a reduction sauce. Throw that on a hoagie. Some spicy mustard. That's lunch, baby. That'll do you for 2 meals right there.
Is he a mustard guy? I think he's more of like I know he does like the chili crunch. I don't hear him talk about mustard often. Hoagie though, aioli. Aioli is just fancy mayo.
It is. I'll die on that hill with you. We can plant our flag there. I'm very used to death now. Console Crusade podcast. We are down one Crusader this week. I'm Chris Gillifor here with Nick Durheim.
I was thinking about introing, but I figured we could just sort of like wallow in the awkwardness of trying to get the thing started without the main guy who usually gets it started.
I know, our engine, our beating heart. No EJ Olsen this week. I was feeling the same thing and I went, my awkward meter's already up. It's full. I can't. Or maybe I'm just really excited to talk about what we're talking about today. I don't know. Nick, how you been? How's your week?
My week's been good. I'm like in the thick of it with spreadsheets with our league and spreadsheeting stuff around. And that has sort of translated into the work fixation that I've had recently, which is us playing ping pong and tracking everybody's stats. So of course I have a overcomplicated spreadsheet to keep track of everybody's stats, how much they score. And I've implemented a rating system that is based on an ELO, if you're familiar with chess and people's ELO ratings.
No.
Some of you out there may know. So I've got like a rating system in place and people are like bugging me like, hey, how's my rating looking? I'm like, you can just look at the thing. I shared it on SharePoint. Like you can open the file yourself, but no, I'm the guy. I'm the go-between. I am the record keeper. So I've hoisted this nonsense on myself, but it's a lot of fun. So I've just been thinking about that in my free time now too.
You kind of love it though, where it's like, no, I couldn't possibly. So if you look at this column,
yep. Like subtly flexing. Look how complicated this formula is that I implemented. I did this to myself. It was hours of breaking it and fixing it to get it to this point. Aren't you impressed by me? And no, they're not. They just want to see the number go up. But I'm impressed by me, and that's what counts.
So you're tracking wins, losses. Is this doubles play or singles play?
Singles and doubles, but doubles it's a little bit weirder because there's 2 individual ratings. And how does that really affect a team composition? I've been doing a lot of research. There are white papers that I've read. So it's gotten bad. There's a lot of numbers involved, a lot more than even the numbers that I'm keeping track of just to like make the numbers go up and down. It's stupid, but it's fun.
Thank God we have you in the league to do all of that stuff, because besides the fact that it's really interesting, sometimes it's just incredibly useful. Like, at me earlier in the year getting like temporarily pissed off about my number of games with no release date and being salty about it in Discord, even though it's my own stupid fault. And then pivoting my entire roster composition. Never would have had that moment of awareness if I didn't stare at that double-digit number in the spreadsheet and go, oh God, this could be really bad. So thank God for you, Peter. Thank God for you.
Well, I mean, that was also mostly me just like poking you because I knew that you would be a little bit self-conscious about it, but it pushed you to movement and that's interesting.
Yep.
So whether you can trust me as a benevolent dictator of sorts, I mean, I was more just like a peer, an opponent saying, hey, Chris, you got a lot of red in your ledger there, bud.
You're an agent of chaos and you know it.
Not as much as Brandon, but I do like to shake the bottle sometimes.
Brandon might actually just be fully unhinged. There may never have been hinges on that door. It may have just
he's a ball joint.
He's
hingeless,
a ball
but
joint!
freely mobile.
Oh, shout out hardware. We love you. You are versatile.
Shout out my shoulder.
Yes, anatomy.
Ballin'. What have you been up to, Chris? I know you've been talking about being busy.
Yes and no. I'm in a period of time where a lot of the classes I'm teaching are settled solidly into their last performance units. So my directing one students are all working on their scenes. So it's mostly just checking in with them, making sure they're feeling good about their progress. I have a lot of folks who are first time directors, which you would expect in a directing one class, but a lot of our design tech, our technology and design BFA majors, who are like, I don't do the table side of things. I do the production meeting and design and engineering side of things. So it's been pushing them a lot, which is really cool to see them be in that space. Many of them for the first time. But that's mostly what that class is. Almost all their written work, except for like their final reflection, is already done. My directing 2 and acting 4 combined class is about to get their last unit started. The course I'm teaching on using tabletop games to generate theater is well into rehearsal now for the short plays that they wrote based on their playthrough of a game called The Quiet Year, which you can find on Buried Without Ceremony's website. That's a map making game. There are no words that are allowed to be written on the map. It's all cartographic symbols and pictures. And it's a really interesting, and nobody plays any specific character. People can speak for factions or as characters that emerge, but no one has singular authority over it. So it's a different way to approach play script writing from a tabletop perspective than you'd usually get from something like D&D, which is intensely like character roleplay driven first. And it's been really cool. So they were rehearsing their shows. I did have an event Friday for Alpha Psi Omega, the theater honorary that I advised for. It was the senior cabaret. Got to show up for my seniors. It's been really weird. This is the first time in my young education career that I've been in the same place for a bunch of consecutive semesters. And even after one term with folks, I was like, oh shit, you're graduating. That's really weird. I don't know how to feel about that. And now that I've had some people for a year and a half, it's like, whoa, what's it going to feel like next year when it's people that I've stewarded through almost their entire college career, let alone like, a theoretical year after that in which will have gone with them an entire like cycle. It's really odd. And I could see how that could be a thing that is just hard every May, the longer that you do this.
Your bleeding heart is not ready for being a foster parent like this.
Oh God, it's really not. And these kids are my kids. Like I would step in front of a train for these students. Like they are everything to me. So all that stuff is really good. I'm in between projects theatrically, which is nice, but it's about to ramp up really quick. I'm starting a theater again, Nick Durheim. I'm doing it.
Don't know how to say no.
We're in full. Well, it took me a minute. It's been 6 years almost since I left Penguin Productions, and it was this long until I was like, okay, I think I can do it again. But we're gonna do a Midsummer Night's Dream in up in Alaska this summer. We're gonna do a show on top of a mountain on the summer solstice. We're gonna do a show
appropriate,
right, on the shores of Eklutna Lake next to the Blue Water Adventure Lodge, which is run by a Linfield alum that I happened to meet in the fall, a graduate from the 90s. And we are trying to see if we could book the show at the Girdwood Forest Fair, which would be pretty fucking cool. And it will be great to have an audience that's all like pretty geeked out on psychedelics and just wants to like have a good time and laugh with us and be really involved with the show. So that's a thing, which means that I'm gearing up to launch that. Our sort of like core stakeholders are like well underway with trying to get like logistics ironed out, and I'm starting to try to get actors attached. So I'm going to be directing that. I'm probably going to be doing Hamlet in the fall. I got a friend who's directing that, and I just am obsessed with that play, and I'd really love to do it in any capacity. And then I'm directing Henry V in the spring at Western. So just like it's like
full Shakespeare,
year
of
of
course.
Shakespeare. I've just been boiling since I taught it in the fall, where I was like, I have to do some Shakespeare. And then the universe said, how about 3? And I said, maybe I shouldn't do that. And then I said to myself, don't be such a little bitch. And then I like punched myself a little bit and I'm like, I'm sorry. And now I'm doing 3 Shakespeares. But this is the calm before the storm. So I'm trying to squeeze in some games that I really want to make sure that I have beaten before stuff gets crazy, go nuts.
So when I don't know where you're doing Henry, but you are doing Hamlet and Midsummer in Alaska, do you recruit local talent, or is that something that you import from the southern states? Like, what does that look like?
Hamlet's going to be with the same director that did Amelie. So that's going to be down here in Kentucky. So thankfully, I don't have to worry about like directorial things. I could just go like audition and be an actor. Midsummer, I want to be all Alaska actors, except for Tiffany, who is going to play Puck. Other than that, it's all going to be Alaska folks. So I have two folks from Linfield who I'm still really tight with who've expressed interest. Well, one of them I voluntold, Cody. I was like, hey, guess what? You're coming out of retirement this summer because I'm doing Midsummer Night's Dream on Flat Top at the Solstice like we talked about 3 years ago. And he was like, yes, give me a script now. Like, I'm ready. And somebody else who is like, oh, I would actually really like to do this. And now I'm working on recruiting, getting in touch with some folks up here who are well integrated in the community, saying, hey, here's the cocktail napkin pitch. Do you have some people who you think would be well suited for this? So that I could get them scripts as fast as possible. Be like, hey, start memorizing lines. We'll do some work on Zoom in May before I get up there. And then we'll kind of just hit the ground running.
The networking pre-recruit socialite Chris.
Oh, yeah. I'm good at it, man. Why the fuck did I do 8 years of speech and debate, which does not have any sort of terminal endpoint after you finish college other than being a thing you did and you could put on your resume? If I'm not going to use the gift, well, exactly, yeah. I have to use the gift of gab somewhere.
Sorry, I had to say the quiet part out loud.
I know, which is part of why I was so adamant when I was coaching for a semester that they needed to just be good people and not like scoff at each other or be like when they're taking notes. So I was like, we don't need any of that discourse. Like, you're going to be future politicians. We need you to not be assholes. We need you to earnestly want to fight for something and be civil and respectful and loving. Like, we need it so badly.
That doesn't sound like winning a conversation.
That hurt me very personally and very deeply. And I'll unpack that later because, it's me.
That's what podcasting is for.
Yeah, winning a conversation. Oh, no. EJ's not here. I have no one to win a conversation against.
I'm not a very good opponent.
No, you're like, I totally respect your position, and here's my counter argument, and I love that we can have this conversation, and that's great. And I'm like, God damn it, I can't verbally pile drive
If you think that's me, I don't know if you have had a lot of conversations with me.
Well, I mean, on the podcast, there's been a couple times where mostly EJ, but I remember specifically when we did the Dune and Metroid. The last time we did a pod together, just the two of us, we talked about Dune Part 1 and Metroid, that I was like, yeah, you got to go in the theater. Like, of course the sound mixing sucks at home. And you were like, that is a really unfortunate position given like the current state of all of our global affairs in terms of like public health, but also like people not being able to do that. And then mostly EJ getting after some Zelda games, especially that you let him have it. And I was like, this is fucking hilarious. Like, it happens so infrequently on pod that it's always a treat when Nick's hackles are raised.
Yeah. It's just, I tend to default to dismissiveness, and that doesn't make for good radio. But I try to put on the suit of armor occasionally and get down and tussle around with you folks when I feel it worthy of my time, I guess. I don't know. Interesting. Or someone wants this thing to be defended. Someone out there is on my side for fucking Ocarina of Time or whatever you guys are just like poo-pooing on out of hand.
I believe I have said at least once, maybe literally only one time, that if they could rescue the Ocarina port off of the 3DS and put it onto Switch, it would probably climb like 20 spots on the top 100. because I really liked playing it on the 3DS. It was until it was playing it on the Nintendo 64 that I tried so many times, was just like, I just cannot with these. How did you put it when you were talking about Final Fantasy VII, like running around on JPEGs and trying to figure out like, where can I go? What can I do in some of these environments? I have no camera control. I hate this. I want to die. Like, and on the 3DS, it's a little better because I played it on a model that had the little clit stick, so I could use that
The old nub.
Yeah, to move the camera around. Anyway,
full digression.
Full and complete. Whatever. We can talk about whatever we want. We have very little on deck other than what we've been playing, which is going to lead to a conversation that I thought we would never have. But we'll get there. Nick, what have you been playing?
So last week I completed the wonderfully named, and we all can agree that it's a good name, Unicorn Overlord, the strategy role-playing game brought to us by Vanillaware. Sort of akin to your Ogre Battle 64, similar vibes to Fire Emblems. Name a strategy role-playing game, tactics role-playing game. It's got a bit of a vibe to that because these games, they are what they are. It's a genre piece, as you could say. And it's really, really good. So a lot of strategy games are kind of either turn-based or real-time. This is a hybrid, which often real-time strategy games are kind of a hybrid. They let you pause the action and make your tactical decisions at your leisure. But this one, I think, does a really good job of, well, I don't know. I mean, it is 100% futzing through menus. This is a menus-ass menu game. I was ready for that. I wanted that. But I could see it, like, for example, I was talking about it in terms of, yeah, this is better than any Fire Emblem game I've ever played. So EJ took that as the invitation of me saying, hey, EJ, you should play this. Not what I ever said. I do not think that I ever told EJ that he should play this, that he needs to play this. But he started playing it, and that's great. I would love for him to play more games that I talk highly of. He didn't play the demo, he just bought the game, which, cool. Collector brain, I get that. Platinum trophy brain, I get that. And I think he's like hitting a wall with it, which I could totally see because it is not your mash out turns. You know exactly what you're going to do every time you have the ability to move units. It is free flowing. And as you make choices and direct your units to different places, things sort of cascade and change. It's very freeform in that way. But it's also start and stop. It's slow, but then it's too fast and you're hurried to make decisions. And then you feel bad because you didn't get your tactics and your gambits set up right. So your unit that you thought was like indestructible suddenly got ganked by some thieves. And you're like, well, what the fuck? I thought this was like an indestructible unit. And suddenly I'm just dead in the water. So the thing that I really like about this game is the setup of the units. So as you progress through the game, you unlock more slots in these units, and then you can customize them by putting individual characters into them. So it is not here is one character running around the field. Here is 5 characters in one little sprite moving around the field. And depending on who you have as the leader, they'll have different mobility options, different benefits in the field. So certain characters will rest faster once they're out of stamina. Characters have stamina that they use every time they battle. That means if they start the battle or if they're attacked. So you're moving this character that moves really fast, and that's beneficial. They can cover a lot of ground, but they only have 4 stamina units, so they're toast after they get attacked three more times. And then you have to start considering, oh, well, I've got enough items to heal their stamina, to heal their HP. I mean, it's just like full juggling 17 different plates and doing so in menus, pre-battle, mid-battle, after battle. It is just so much. But it was really, really tight, and I had a really great time both with the tactics and also the character interactions, the vignettes, they call them rapport conversations. Is that how you pronounce that? Rapport?
Yeah.
R-A-P-P-O-R-T? Okay,
yeah,
rapport.
yeah.
Rapport? I don't know. It's French probably. Report. The rapport conversations are really good. The story is pretty mid. It's just sort of typical fantasy fluff. Evil empire took over, ostracized everybody. you're restoring kingdoms, whatever. But the characters are a lot of fun, and they have really touching moments between each other. One of the standout ones that I really liked was your main guy is a deposed prince whose mother was the queen, and she was killed, but her like dying, not really dying, but like before she is killed, she tells her like best knight, hey, take my son, flee, and take care of him. And then she gets axed. It's a whole thing. So this prince is raised on an island away from it all and has this knight who's like a father figure training him in battle and in tactics and in being a good person. But he's got friends, he's got his childhood friends, his homies, and there's a really nice rapport conversation between the main character, Prince Elaine, and his best friend Lex, who's like typical anime goober, like just like a fuckwit kind of guy. But they have a nice conversation where they're talking about like, they're at the island on the beach and they are visiting a grave site for a dog that Lex had. And they're talking about, like Lex is talking about like, this dog saved my life when I was attacked. I was ambushed. I wanted to defend him, but I also had to defend myself because I had to defend you. So it's sort of like a big, like touching moment, like the dog was him sort of thing where, and every time a dog dies in a game or in a story, you're like, oh, fuck, that sucks. I love dogs. Exactly. Full tears streaming down the face. But it was really nice. It was a touching moment of this character having more depth than just like the silly childhood friend. And there's just a lot of moments like that I really appreciate. I think you should play the demo sometime. I don't know if you can like really get fully on board with like the tactics of it, but the gambit system, like you've talked about in Final Fantasy 12, is really deep, and you can get really, 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 really specific with the tactics of each of your unit compositions. And it's so stupid, man. There's like, once you're fully upgraded, you have 10 units of up to 5 individual units within that unit each. You've got different classes. You got sword fighters, thieves, archers, shield archers, flying units. I mean, it's everything. It's everything you could imagine from a tactics RPG. But depending on where they're located within that unit, you've got a front row and a back row. You've got attacks that do column damage, do row damage. You can target specific types of units within that unit. So it's like, oh, I'm going to have my archer only targeting flying units because it deals more damage. And then at the first turn, I want to use this ability because it buffs my front row. And then suddenly they have higher initiatives. So they're attacking sooner and they're, popping off. And it's like this cascading series of things times 10 times 5. So it's just exploded out. But it's really fun to just like steamroll to like set a tactic in place, put it into action, throw your units out there, and you're just housing foes like it's nobody's business. Very satisfying loop to that. The Coliseum, I was getting just like addicted to the Coliseum where I'm fighting PvP. I'm like using my units that I've set up in this like badass way against people online. I mean, it's just like you set tactics and you fight against each other. So it's like an auto battle, but it's like really tight to see like, oh, how did I do setting up my unit, setting up my tactics, equipping the right equipment? Because there's equipment too, of course. Your equipment's got different stats, but also it's got added abilities. So you can like really, really customize these characters. There's not really, you can't change the classes really. There's a 1 degree like upgrade path. But thank God, because if there was, it would be ridiculous. But you can use like an item that is a purchasable item to change their stat, like breakdown, like what they're leaning towards. So you can like make a more defendery type attack class if you want, or give your dodge guy more dodge. But man, it's just like, I spent 80 hours, I think, was my final playtime on that. And it was just like no lifing it for 2 weeks, basically.
That's a quick 80. This game did not come out that long ago.
Yeah, and I picked it up at launch. I don't know if I started playing it like right away. I put a few hours into the demo, And then I don't remember what I was playing before that. I was playing Celeste. So I'd beaten Celeste and I was like, okay, it's time after an action, well, not action, but like a platformer, kind of a more active video game. I want to go stupid on a role playing game. And that was like the perfect time for that to land on my mailbox.
Yeah, seriously. Like coming out of a little bite-sized, I feel like a string of bite-sized that you've been knocking out a lot of these little titles. So it felt like an 80-hour game was due. God, yeah, what a Nick ass game of being able to be so granular with the way you plan. I mean, it's not a spreadsheet, but Gambits it's kind of a spreadsheet. I mean, like getting everything dialed and locked like that.
Yeah, and it's like you'll spend so much time. It feels like so much time. It's like maybe 5 minutes or so on one character, getting their strategies in line and hoping, okay, so I have this sort of series of events that I'm planning for, but then how does that interact with my 4 other characters? Like I've got this character in the front row that he deals more damage the lower his health is. And he has ways to mitigate that. He has ways to sacrifice his own health to give himself buffs. And he has ways to, once his health gets too low, to start healing himself. And you're like, okay, so I'll have him heal once he gets below 25% with this sanguine attack, which is like a, vampirism attack, deals as much damage, heals as much of that back. But I've got a healer in the back row, and I want her to be healing people that are getting damaged, but not him. And how do I sort of utilize the tools at my disposal to make sure that she's only healing like people that aren't him? So you're thinking like, okay, well, I've got this row heal, so I will have it target only the back row. So whoever else is in the front with him is going to be in danger of being in that same scenario. So maybe can I utilize that? Can I have another version of that character who has also dealing more damage at lower health, double up in the front so that they can sort of take up the brunt of the damage and also getting increased damage output? You can hire mercenaries that are whatever class is available in those different forts. You're liberating towns. You're gathering items. It's so cool too, because in Fire Emblem, between battles, generally until 3 Houses added this like new wrinkle to it, between battles, you were just navigating a map screen. It was like a world select screen from Mario World. But in this game, once you finish a area, you're just running around that area as a normal overworld map location. And you're going to the towns that you were fighting over that were like outposts in the real-time strategy game. They are now just towns and they have people around them. And you talk to the people and they've got dialogue and they're like asking you to do things for them. You're doing deliveries to like upgrade the town so that you can post guards that then are passive income. It's like everything just like feeds into itself. It's got this beautiful, multifaceted, multivariate loop that just keeps making you feel stronger. Very nice. Great chill music. Good variety of locales. Obviously, you start in like the idyllic fantasy knights and dragons kind of land, and then you go to like a more desert, rocky, mountainous terrain, and then you go to the elf kingdom where it's all foresty and magical and shit. Then you go up north into the winter. It's got everything you could possibly ask for in an RPG.
Oh my God. Yeah. Jeez Louise. I mean, you know that as you see, Gambits are the way to my heart. And I mourn the one-off nature of that in the Final Fantasy series. That is appealing. It is really appealing in a lot of ways. And I've never, no, not never. The only strategy RPG I've ever played through to completion was Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and I'm not even really sure what it was about that particular one that got me, other than the fact that it was set in Ivalice, and so I'm using like Viera and like other races that I'm familiar with from the lore of Final Fantasy 12, and maybe just being a dumb college kid and being like, yeah, let me just like do this thing that I've never done before I got old and set in my ways. But I could play a demo.
Yep, you can play the demo. It's like a lot of content for a demo. It's the beginning and the save carries over. You should play this game, Chris. I want you to give it the old college try, like you've done for me in the past, like you are wont to do. The good friend that you are. I wouldn't steer you wrong.
You wouldn't.
Also, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. It's an isekai. So you got that to be proud of.
Oh yeah. Oh no.
The snowball fight tutorial is a god tier intro to a video game, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's so good. I totally fucking forgot that that's the way that game started. Not the snowball fight, but also just that it's an isekai and then he gets dropped into. I fucking hate that genre. I mock that genre in anime all the goddamn time because they all have just stupid fucking titles like that time I got transported to the level 5 dungeon or whatever. And it's just like so wordy and stupid. It's stupid. And now I'm associated with it. I'm stained.
Yeah, it is formulaic and rote, but I mean, it's also got some of the best storytelling in the past. I mean, think about it. Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe is an isekai.
It is.
Alice in Wonderland is an isekai.
Yep.
Peter Pan, basically there too.
I mean, you could make the case that Dune is kind of an isekai.
And it's not like someone from our world going to that world, though. I think that's like the primary.
Oh, that's
like,
fair.
Literary sort of thing. Harry Potter.
I was just going to say, I was like, Harry Potter definitely counts then if he's coming from our
pretty
world.
much. Like, it's pretty much right there.
Oh, no. This is just getting.
Also, good news for you. Final Fantasy Tactics, the original, is the first game set in Ivalice, so FF12 is more a spin-off of Tactics than the other way around.
That's true. I had War of the Lion on PSP, and I had just kind of started dabbling in it in like 2016, and then I lost my PSP.
Also, for me, really quick, look in the chat.
I'm going to look in the chat. I see the number 1 has appeared.
There's a big lady. People like the big lady. She's got an eye patch. She's a dreadnought.
Oh,
next
boy.
to her there, the blue hair is Leia. In front of her is Prince Gilbert, Prince of Drakenhold.
Beat me
He's
in a
got
fight.
older brother problems.
She is holding a Buster Sword.
Yeah, she's got basically a Buster Sword.
I should probably play this game.
She's huge. Yeah, and if you can like cheese the Coliseum pretty quick, it's a good way to get a level 40 character when you're maybe not necessarily needing a level 40 character just yet. Level 50 being the level cap. But yes,
whoa,
good game.
That's great. Yeah, you really have not steered me wrong, Nick. When you're like, you should try this. You have like an 85+% success rate, which is pretty damn high, honestly.
And even the fails might still be wins in the end.
You've got a great white whale in the ocean that is drawing on a pace towards the SS Gillyfor in the form of Bloodborne, which maybe that's a good opportunity to segue. Olympus has fallen. The clock has struck midnight. The worlds have collided. Everything as we know it has changed forever. I spent... How many episodes have I done on this podcast at this point? Like 50? No, more than 50. 75? Are we over halfway of Console Crusade is the post-Gillyfor era at this point?
Probably.
In any case, I've spent all of that time finding opportunities to make fun of Souls games and to make fun of the people who like Souls games, which on this podcast is you, amigo. Most of the time done with love, occasionally done with...
And as a defense mechanism.
Also that. Yep, also that. And God knows when I tried Bloodborne the first time, that was one of the most infuriating like Saturdays of my entire gaming career. Bounced off harder than Big Bowl of Flubber. Shout out Robin Williams and Flubber. Just ricocheted right off of Bloodborne about as hard as I possibly could have and was like, I just don't think that this franchise is for me. Did buy Dark Souls Remastered on the Switch, partially for the boy back home and partially because I thought maybe going to the roots of the franchise. I mean, I guess Demon Souls is the roots, but of Dark Souls proper would give me a different experience. I don't know. I've been feeling kind of down lately. And so I sort of was like, I just finished up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which was 110 hours, just a huge affair. I wanted to change a pace, and I thought, fuck it, let's just throw Dark Souls in. I figured it would basically be the Bloodborne experience where I would try it, I would go, I don't get it, I'm frustrated, it's not for me, and then I would be able to say I tried. And then I would, at some point, do the same for Elden Ring and say, it's just not for me. And say, I tried it all, I own them all, but it's just not, it's not for Team Gillyfor. It does not jive. Well, as it turns out, I like micro served ice cold because I am eating platefuls of it at a time. I am so fucking pilled by this game. I am so goddamn down the Dark Souls rabbit hole now. I'm having a fucking fantastic time. This game has fully infiltrated my brain, sunk its talons into me, and absolutely refuses to let go. This game is great. And I get it now. I understand. I've seen the light, and I think the biggest thing is just steering into what the game is trying to get me to do, which is get good. And when I get good, and by get good, I mean taking my time, respecting every single enemy that comes onto the screen and its capacity to annihilate you if you try to ignore them, and trying to engage with some of the different systems that it presents you, some of the different like weapon and armor configurations, and just being curious. This game totally fucks, and it is not as opaque or dick grindery hard or unfair or designed with a mean-spirited intent as I had derided these games for being before, during, and after my time with Bloodborne. I can't recall ever having a reversal of opinion on a whole genre of games like this in my entire life. And it has been so damn delightful. I have to be like 25 to 30 hours into this game at this point. So damn delightful to just full info dump like monologues to you in text for you to find at your lunch break or when you get off work or when you get up in the morning, because I'm 2 hours ahead and I'm like, getting up pretty early on the weekends anyway and getting a few hours in, and just having you like fucking gas me up and be like, yes, dude, yes. And like, offer different tips. So like, oh, you may want to go this way or you could go that way. And oh yeah, this guy fucking sucks. Like this boss is bullshit. Capra demon. And also that cheesing is part of it. You can't really cheese anything in this game except by doing things the game puts in for you to do in the game, which is inherently not cheese to me. Cheesing is using exploits that technically work within the parameters of the game to beat it in a way that's not intended. But they absolutely intend for you to do this by design, that is the way that you do some of these things. Case in point, today, I got down to the bottom of the Great Hollow today. For the second time. The first time I got down there, I had no Estus Flask, and I had a whole bunch of souls, and I went, okay, I want to upgrade my Black Knight Halberd a couple more times because I have some more twinkling Titanite. So I homeward boned my way up to the top of the Great Hollow, upgraded it. Every successive run to try to get down to the bottom was like disastrously worse and worse until I finally got cursed again and was like, I hate everything. I want to die. Also, I won't let this game beat me. And getting into Ash Lake for the first time and just looking around at all these like ethereal misty trees just like breaking through this cloud cover up to the heavens, and this like very classical dark operatic choral music starts up with these low bass and baritone chords like just intoning things, and then this like lilting soprano melody comes in over the top, and there's a fucking Hydra off to the left, and I'm like, I thought I was done with you. I was done with you. I killed you already in the other lake. Why do I have to do this again? Fuck you. No.
Another one.
Another one. And I'm like, no, I don't. God, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And so I go running, and I get a little further, and I die, and I lose my souls. And I don't lose my souls, but I die, and I'm like, okay, great. And I grab my souls, and I keep going. I get a little further. I'm up to I have close to 12,000 souls accrued at this point, and I'm pretty fucking far down the sandbar, and I get fucking got by a blast of water, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with you. I'm cursed. I just want to fucking know what's on the other side of this lake. Because the game, it makes you curious, like that music cue, the depth of field, and like, here's this teeny little sandbar twisting off. It's like so emblematic of the way the level design like draws you in and makes you want to be curious and explore what's around that corner, what's in that tree hollow. I am going on my corpse run to grab these souls. I am quite literally as close as you can possibly be to my corpse. And here comes a fucking water blast off to the side and clips me. Literally the second it enters the screen, it hits me. Absolutely no time to react. And I drop the controller, gasp, full like, and I went,
surrender, Cobra.
And I went, you know what? Fuck you specifically, you hydratic son of a bitch. I'm going to fucking destroy you. And I fucking goddamn did. Not first attempt, but second attempt. I know how to kill you. I know how to kill you. You have a blind spot, asshole. Getting right up on the shoreline next to it and just saying, try to grab me. And I'm not using my shitty spear that I was using the first time I fought you. I am using a +3 Black Knight halberd that is hitting you for a whopping like 315 damage per shot. And I cut through this thing like a hot knife through a pat of butter. Just eviscerate it. And I didn't even feel the need to fist pump in celebration because I went, I already know I'm better than you. This was just a reaffirmation of how much better than you I am. And I go make my way through Ash Lake, and I'm cutting up these crabs, which are clams, which I know are going to drop Twinkling Titanite because I wanted to farm to fully upgrade my halberd. And as I'm cutting through these things at cursed HP, not only am I getting my Twinkling Titanite drops, I'm getting a fucking purifying slab drop, which I didn't even know they could drop. I get a handful of purifying slabs. So not only am I going to be able to break my curse now, I'm going to be able to break my next 3 curses. Because fuck you, that's why. I'm better than you, game, and I goddamn know it. And I get to the end of Ash Lake, and I'm like, oh, there's another bonfire, that's cool. And I look up, and I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a fucking dragon. And it opens up its wings, and it just looks at me. And I'm like, you don't seem to want to kill me. That's interesting. And I forge a covenant with this dragon. And this dragon gives me a stone slab. And I say, I wonder what this stone slab does. And I look it up, and I go, that can't be real. And I unequip my helm, and I equip the stone dragon head slab, and I use that item, and it turns my head into a fucking dragon's head, and now I can breathe fire with the Y button. I'm like, this game's amazing! Every single corner you go around is some weird fucked up discovery to be made. And I like do some more Googling, and I'm like, are you telling me if I give him 30 dragon scales, I could turn my whole fucking body into a dragon? That's amazing. So now I have like a ranged weapon I could use at any time that I want. I respect my whole armor so that I would have the same defensive capabilities with no helm without crossing over my 50% carry weight threshold. So I still get my medium rolls and medium movement speed.
You love that fast roll, buddy.
And I'm like, this is such a fucking good game. I've never been so fucking wrong in my life. I don't know how else to put it.
Chris, what I would like to ask you is, so to preface, I know that I'm not the first person to recommend the Souls games to you, and Bloodborne in particular, and also just all the Souls games. I got you to buy Elden Ring for $20 or whatever, just because it's a good game. You're going to play it eventually. Now, especially. But like, Joey and Josh both told you to play Dark Souls back in the day, right? And were you just turned off because of the popular sort of discussion around the games being like, oh, Dark Souls is the hard game? Did that just like overtake your brain and like told you to like, nah, block everything else out? Even though to a lot of people, Dark Souls is just the good game. And that's the game that everyone's been telling you to play. It's like, yeah, it is hard, but it's a good game and you'll feel good playing it. So why did that not work for you in the past? And what would be your strategy to get people to play that you think would like it, but are also sort of tuned out because they think it is the hard game?
Oh, that's such a good question. Josh and Joey had mentioned it. My roommate Viet in Santa Maria, we were living together when Bloodborne came out, and he was so fucking stoked on Bloodborne right at launch. And I was kind of like, I wasn't really doing horror as a genre like at all, which has been a big change in my adult life. And that game's it's not really a horror game. Well, Bloodborne's more of a horror game. Dark Souls, we were talking about this in text, was like Dark Souls is gothic fantasy and Bloodborne's gothic horror.
So just to fully tangent, like put a little sticky note on that. I think this game has so much good tension building. It makes you care so much. The risk of losing your souls on a corpse run is like so deeply like entangled in your heart. You get sweaty, you get twitchy. I think that's a big cornerstone of horrors, make you care, to like get you on edge. And these games are definitely masterclasses in that suspense thriller kind of vibe that they make you feel afraid, but not like I'm fucked, but like, oh shit, what if I mess up? Like it's a different kind of fear, but I think it's still horror related.
Oh yeah, like building tension. I mean, in a way that, and maybe this is super appropriate to why Dark Souls is hitting for me now, that the first horror film that made me go, oh, maybe I actually do want to watch these was Hereditary, which is all tension based. Like it's not gore based. It's certainly not like body horror based. Kind of, sort of, a little bit at the beginning, little bit. But then that's the whole red herring of Hereditary. Which anyway, not the podcast for that, but that's part of it. Yeah. Part of it was, I think that my prevailing understanding of those games is it's bullshit hard by design, which I was like, whatever. Partially, I think was that I just was also playing other stuff too. I'm trying to think about like, what is the big stuff I was playing? I didn't even really.
It was Skyrim, 2011.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely at that point. In undergrad, it was a lot of games with other people. It was a lot of Assassin's Creed. That was that era. It was a lot of BioShock.
2015 would have been Smash Bros. As well.
Yep. Also that. When I was in my internship, I did like the whole Mass Effect trilogy, and when I got back to Oregon, I don't remember playing that many games, and maybe it's just like a weird period of my life that I don't really remember super specifically because of a lot of the stuff that went on during those years, but also I just don't remember really playing that many games. Coming back like, 2017 onward, certainly after 2018 into 2019, I kind of got back into, this is something I want to do more. That's all part of it. And then the big one, of course, like most recently, was trying Bloodborne finally and just absolutely hating every second of it. And now I feel like going to that after I finish Dark Souls, I have such a different frame of reference for how to be successful in these games. And I know there will be some big systemic differences. I'm actively trying to use my shield less and less all the time in this game, specifically to prepare for when I have it taken from me for Bloodborne, which means that my rolls are getting way more responsive than they've ever been. And also I'm just trying to figure out more of what's gonna stagger enemies so that I can chain more combos together. And when do I need to open distance and when can I close distance, and like doing more reads and things like that. If I know all of your attack patterns, so I know, okay, you're going to swing this way, and there's an option for a follow-up, so I need to make sure to wait till I see if that animation's going to trigger or not, and then I can start attacking. I think it's just a whole confluence of things. And I said this a couple weeks ago when we were doing our personal top 10s, that like hard but fair was just not a genre is not the right word, but not a game design ethos that really hit for me until I played Cuphead. And now I'm just gobbling it up, it feels like. So I'm ready for a game that is going to punish me intensely if I do not play smart. But I always know it is my fault when I die. And once I knew that, once I believed that it wasn't that the game is bullshit hard, it's that I'm not getting good, then it became a matter of like personal endurance and 1 versus 1 and me running a race against myself and all the things that I like about literally physical fitness and things like rock climbing and theater, where it's like you are only competing with yourself to be as excellent as you possibly can. If I fail, it is because I failed, not because the game said, haha, fuck you. And I love that. It makes me want to go, fuck you. I could do this better. Like with that fucking Hydra, I was like, fine.
Screw you, Hydra.
I was like, fine, fuck you. And literally just like bop, bop, that fucking halberd. Oh my God, it's like as good as sex. Like seeing my damage go from a +2 winged spear to a +3 Black Knight halberd. And I'm just one-shotting things that were taking like 5 to 6 hits, 2 full attack cycles to kill previously. I was literally in front of the TV like, oh, baby, yeah. That is such a satisfying feeling. The progression that you feel in this game is wild, man. It feels so good.
If you haven't had the opportunity yet, because this game does throw a lot of equipments at you, but it's also kind of had a stayed hand with some of the more exotic things. I would try a greatsword or an ultra greatsword just to see how that feels for you, because I'm seeing the Unga Bunga energy come through on you, where it just feels good to like pancake something. And there are some ultra greatswords that it's got the longest wind up animation you could possibly imagine, and it will use your entire bar of stamina. But when you hit your opponent, they're just laying down. And then you just let your stamina recharge, and then you do it again. You're just flattening foes.
I would like to do that. I did when I was reading about the Way of the Dragon Covenant. I did note in the wiki that's like you can cut that dragon's tail off peacefully without breaking your covenant. And so I have the Dragon Greatsword, which is pretty beefy. I don't know if it's more beefy than the one I got from the Gaping Dragon Tail, the Great Axe. But I think the halberd is a perfect bridge to trying that out. I don't want to Zerg rush my strength anymore, though, because I do know from stuff Josh and Joey have said that I can get some higher stat yields for some other stuff that I've been not neglecting. Like my endurance and resistance are still around like 16, 17, but I did need 32 strength and 18 dex to use this halberd that I really wanted to get towards. So I have been like pushing strength really hard, but I want to like go back to building some more stamina. The halberd, the windup, is a lot bigger, and this is now like a two attack cycle instead of a 4 attack cycle. And so I've started getting good at timing my windups based on enemy approaches. That I know if those fucking asshole basilisks in the Great Hollow are going to approach at a certain tempo before they spray, I need to start my wind up around here so that when they get there, they're pulling back and swelling up, and my halberd strike is going to cleave them before they can get their fucking stone breath on me.
Speaking of basilisks, really quick, I remembered why I was getting more souls than you on those basilisks, and that's because I forgot that overkill, if you overkill by a certain percentage, you'll get a increased on the soul yield. So I was getting like 20% more souls by killing them with a stronger blow.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense, because when I was cutting down mushroom children in the final approach of the Great Hollow, I was like, why am
monster.
I know, honestly, kind of. I was like, why am I getting 56 souls? It's because my halberd is beef, and it's a 2-hit kill now. It's like, bam, bam, 700 damage. Game over.
Fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids. Even the big ones now, I'm sort of like, damn, I could farm you. Like this is like a 1 minute process now instead of a 10-minute process of me getting these dinky spear hits and avoiding getting fucking Saitama one-punched with their mushroom parent vengeance wind up. Yeah, man. I've done Upper and Lower Berg. I've done the Parish. When I say done, I mean that I have, to the fullest of my own knowledge, cleared out what there is to get there and killed any bosses that reside therein, as well as any
like shortcuts to unlock. And
shortcuts and single spawn
merchants.
Enemies like the Black Knights or like Hovel, who I assume is just a Black Knight with a name. Yeah, like stuff like that. That if I've been there, I've killed all the stuff and I've unlocked the shortcuts that are there to be unlocked. I did the Basin. I have not done all of the Darkroot Forest because I have to go fight Sif. And that just is that's gonna take some time, especially because that's got a bit of a run
you've already
up.
dipped your toe into a lot of optional content at this point. Great Hollow, very optional. 2 illusory walls worth of optional. Sif also totally optional. But I assume that you're going to be like full bore doing everything you can in this game. That's the pace you're on right now. So you're going to fight Sif and you're going to do the DLC and do every bit and piece of this. But
Yep.
if I had to guess, I'd say you're probably about a third of the way through the game.
Oh God, really?
Different pace though. I mean, you've been very thorough, which is, who you are. You wouldn't be able to do it any other way. But you've learned a lot, and I think the learnings that you've had will make the next 2/3 go by in less time than the first third.
I think you're probably right. I'm trying to think of where I could, if I really wanted to go fight Sif now. I kind of want to wait a little bit longer on that.
Just wait.
But I will do that because he took one off of me, and so I have to go kill him. If it's just like there's a little, fucking Zamazenta over there with his sword, or Zacian or whichever, that's fine. I could just leave you alone, but he took one off me, so I have to kill him. I don't have a choice. I just got the ring in the hollow that also boosts stamina regen, so I have 2 equips right
the
now.
Chloranthy ring, yeah.
Chloranthy ring. So I have that and the Grass Crest shield, so my stamina flies back up. It's awesome. And then Hovel's ring, of course, because I'm using a little bit heavier armor and I want to be in a good balance of, I want to be as spongy as one can possibly be in a Dark Souls game, which is not that spongy, but I want to be able to have the maximum amount of learning time between my deaths when I'm doing difficult things. What made me almost bounce off this game right at the beginning after the Undead Asylum was taking a left turn at Albuquerque and ending up in Bone Town and just getting wasted by skeletons over and over again and going, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Only to discover the thing I was doing wrong was that I should not have been there, which was really funny. Once I did finally figure that out and went to the Undead Burg and was just like carving bitches up and was like, oh, this is how this is supposed to feel at this point in the game. Got it. Duly noted. But I was dying literally in one hit. And so I'm like, I'm not learning. I don't have an opportunity to learn. Man, where can I go next? I'm down at the bottom of Blight Town, which I think means that I could I haven't gone. Okay, so you get to the bottom and to the right is the bonfire and also the little wheelie elevator thing that takes you back up the opposite side. I haven't done anything on that side. I went left first, which is why I ended up in the hollow. So I need to go over there. I know I did look at a map after I had finished exploring because I was kind of like, how much fucking more do I have here? Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, I can go to Quinniquin's domain. That's not what it is, but Shadow Final Fantasy 9. I can either go over there or I can go up and go to the Valley of the Drakes. Kind of feeling like maybe it's time to taste that from that entrance, because the first time I ended up there was by way of, oh God, where's the other entrance
Yolando.
to that?
Or Darkroot.
There it is. Yeah. Through Darkroot. And I went, oh.
There's a few, by the way, just so you know.
A few ways to the Valley of the Drakes.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you, because you've been appreciating my advice thus far, you're going to want to fight Quelaag in her domain and ring the second Bell of Awakening, because that's going to open up the next big thing for you to do. That is your next Bell Gargoyle. That is your next actual canon fight. Everything you fought up until this point has been side content, essentially.
That's so funny and so on
Capra,
brand for
Gaping.
me.
You could skip those completely. I mean, it's not like most people won't, because it's the easiest way to, well, not the easiest, but it's the most directed way down to Blighttown is through the depths. Through depths, I should say. But I mean, you could skip it. You could skip around the back like you went through Darkroot. You could go through the Valley of the Drakes, go through the back half down through Blighttown and do it that way. So you could skip Capra Demon, Gaping Dragon, Moonlit Butterfly. You've already gone to Sif. Sif is completely optional. It's off to the side. All of the Forest Covenant stuff. The Great Hollow, totally optional. There's a lot of optional content in these games in general, but I think Dark Souls 1 probably has the largest ratio of skippable things.
Well, that makes me feel good. Okay, so I'll go to Quelaag's domain next then. That's what I'll do. Once I reascend through the hollow, because it is the only way back through, and that makes me want to cry a lot.
Yeah, that tree is a pain in the ass to climb.
Although, should I go to New Londo?
You can go to New Londo after.
Okay, we have New Londo at home.
I say that because if you go back up the other way, you get a key that unlocks a door that takes you directly to New Londo from the backside of Blighttown. So it's like a faster way up.
Oh.
And then you get right into New Londo, right by the elevator, the series of elevators. You got 2 elevators right there. Bing, bang, boom. Easy peasy.
Okay, great. I will do that. I had a mind to just let myself get cursed by one of the basilisks on the way up and then just grab my souls and keep going and be like, great, now I can go kill the ghost. But your head shaking quite vigorously. So I'm going to not do that.
Don't do that. And also, you get an item. I think you can buy it from the sewer lady, the transient curse.
Yeah.
It allows you to fight the ghosts. And then they also have, I don't know if it's them that drop it. I remember picking up a blade that you can damage them with, regardless of if you're cursed. So that's nice. And it's dex scaling. So it's like not that bad of a weapon, actually.
Ooh.
So,
yeah, my dex second highest stat, I think, at 18. Okay, great. Then I'll go to Quelaag's domain first after I get out of the hollow, which is going to be just an awful ascension. I got to tell the Gaping Dragon story because I just think it's like probably the most like Dark Souls thing that, one of the most Dark Souls things that's happened in this playthrough. And I feel like I'm getting a sense of what is a Dark Souls thing now. Embracing jank.
Just Dark Souls things.
Enemies getting stuck in geometry, and you're just like, super, I could just wail on you, because you're going to get stuck in geometry pretty soon, and, I'll turnabout is fair play. Yeah, so Nick, we were gonna co-op some Dark Souls, and I was like, I don't know the last time that I have played a cooperative video game online. I'm like, this is my boy. This is Nick's franchise. I finally get it. I have seen the darkness. And I am fully pilled on Dark Souls 1. So I was like, yeah, let's do the Gaping Dragon fight together. That'll be fun. I had been cursed and was trying to do the fight at half health, was having a really bad time. I was like, Nick is a Souls veteran. He breathes darkness when he picks up the controller. I was like, best case scenario, we both get our licks in on the dragon and we kill this thing and I learn some stuff. Worst case scenario, Nick can just carry my ass through this fight. So we get into the Gaping Dragon and the fight starts. Gaping Dragon drops down the first time, flops down and starts to crawl. I see Nick go sprinting. I'm like, great. That was, that's my thought too. We go sprinting around. We get around the backside. We're like, Nick's like, you got to cut the tail off. Always got to cut the tail off for dragons. Can give you a good weapon. So we're like just wailing on that ass, literally wailing on that ass. I'm thinking, this is great. We're doing the thing. Just 2 dark bros with their dark souls and their little weapons. This is fantastic. Second time, dragon flops down. Dragon starts crawling. Unbeknownst to Nick, the tail has a hitbox while it is crawling. I had learned this the hard way one of the last couple times that I fought the Gaping Dragon. Nick literally touches the tail on the Gaping Dragon while it's crawling and gets one shot. And I have to do the whole rest of the fight by myself with the Gaping Dragon at scaled health for co-op. And I did do it. And I felt really proud of that because I went like, this could have gone tits up so many times because I'm still finding my way and I'm still learning. But I had my strat dialed. I was patient. I was very stubborn. I extended the fight way longer than I should have, firing arrows at the tail to try and get the Dragon Great Axe to drop, which it did on the final health bar. But I was like, man, if this backfires and I have burned like 50 arrows and a ton of my time and a ton of Nick's time and I don't get this fight done, I'm going to be so fucking depressed. But I fucking killed it. It was great. But it was just, again, like Dark Souls.
Me just tuxedo masking, just like my job here is done, leaving like, but you didn't do anything. That was my job.
Yeah, I enjoyed that quite a lot. That is a memory I will cherish forever. The time that we co-opted Dark Souls and we didn't co-op Dark Souls. But we sat on the phone for like an hour after that.
Yeah, I could still come by and like help with other bosses, or not even just help, but just like fight other bosses together, because obviously it's not like I carried you, obviously. So every other boss fight would be very similar, where it's like, I'm not carrying you, but like we could try this in a different way.
Yeah.
One thing I wish they had in this game was refighting bosses. That would be so nice. But you get to do that basically by putting your sign down and trying to be summoned into other people's worlds. All the Covenant online stuff is so cool. I just wish I had the ability or the bravery to participate in them, especially the PvP focused ones, the invasion focused ones, like being an asshole, being that person that invades someone's world and ruins their day is Dark Souls. So like I would love to be in that role, but I just haven't had the opportunity, the gumption to do so. But it's still so cool that they have that. Like all of the covenants are so unique, and there are certain ones that if you participate in one covenant, then that like cuts you off fully from participating in another. Like you have to cheese it, basically. You have to do workarounds so you can chop off the dragon's tail and not make it break the covenant or whatever. It's just, there's so much thought that goes into these games in general that are so engaging, and it just makes the world feel lived in and real and bigger than you. And then you're participating in it, and everyone's just camaraderie is high-fiving each other like, hell yeah, we're Dark Souls then, bitch. It's nice. It's a good time.
It's a good feeling. I just am realizing when you're talking about factions, I'm just remembering the next time I go to the forest, I need to remember to switch my faction back to the forest hunters. Because they will attack me on sight otherwise. Which was a very unwelcome discovery the first time I went in the forest and went around the other side of the building that does not drop you into the talking cat, and I just got absolutely blasted by forest hunter sorcerer and was like, I don't know who you are or why you're attacking me, and I hate this. And going around the backside the second time, I went, oh, it's because I'm not supposed to go that way, because there is a literal army of forest hunters that are all going to try to kill me if I don't have this covenant established. Oh man. Yeah, we gotta jump in on another boss. I wonder how long it'll take me to get to Quelaag.
Well, it depends mostly on how fast you can get back up that hollow, but not too long. It's not too far away.
I think I can get up in one go. I know what I need to do. I just don't know if I have the strength to do it. And that is to be patient and to keep my spacing in place so that I don't get one-punched by the mushroom men, and that I don't neglect the basilisks. And then it's just a matter of finding which route to drop down from that will then get me higher to drop down to another route that will let me get higher to drop down to another route. And then that part will be easy. I just have to get through the mushrooms and the stone breathing basilisks, and then it should be fine. Oh God. As I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, is it going to be fine?
It's not that bad. Remember, okay. I don't think you haven't shared how bad of a time you had getting down from the Gaping Dragon through Blighttown to the swamp.
Blighttown was fine.
That part is usually like kind of a pain in the ass.
Blighttown was fine for me, honestly. The only specific place that I had trouble with is, you know, the rampart that's right next to where the bug is. You have to go down and to the right and enter a tunnel that will get you around to the next place that you proceed. Right around there, the camera gets really fucky with like ceilings and walls and beams completely obscuring your line of vision, and a naked elite and a butcher sword guy both come around the corner at the same time. And so once I knew that, okay, there's going to be camera jank here, I was like, let me pick up aggro on both of them. I'll go up the nearest ladder and deal with the Arbiter up there, and then I'll come down and deal with the big dude. Also, it just cannot be accidental that the backstab animation for those giant fucking butcher sword guys, the angle of the weapon just goes right up their asshole. Like it just goes straight up the butt. I'm like, this is not an accident. There's no way.
There is a long history of FromSoft games and fisting that they're inseparable at this point.
Wow. Life certainly fisted me a number of times in playing this game.
That's true. You give and you take.
Give what you take.
So then, for your experience, what has been the most difficult or the most frustrating location? Was it just that graveyard at the very beginning then?
Oh my God, that certainly was. And I think the next time I go through Firelink, which I probably should, because I've run into a lot of named characters since the last time I was there, it will be good to go talk with them. The graveyard was frustrating. I want to go back now that I'm leveled and know what I'm doing and like slap some skeleton ass just to feel good about myself. That was really frustrating. The bell gargoyles almost made me quit for sure.
I had to scroll up and find the text thread of you talking about the bell gargoyles because that was very, very entertaining.
Please.
For me, being at work, as I said that, I literally backed out on my phone, so I have to clear back up.
No.
But that was 11 days ago. That was, 9 days ago. That was April 5th that you were texting me about that. Yeah, just the whole intro of you playing and 50 feet from the first bonfire and I can't even kill 2 skeletons. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. Like, go the other way. On the blacksmith. Okay. We're close. Heading up for a boss fight, presumably, in the bell tower. And then, that was what, these all loaded around the same time. So that was 243, 256. A second one? Are you fucking kidding me? Then 320. This is absolutely stupid. How am I supposed to keep 2 of these in front of me and also not just get incinerated? This feels like RNG, not skill. You were lost in the sauce at that point.
I was fully tilted. I was like so pissed because I get in, I'm fighting the first one and I'm thinking, I've got a really good strat going. Like I'm staying on your shield side because I know that is going to keep me far away from your blows. And then I'm getting around to your blind spot, getting like full combos in, and you get down to half health. And here comes a second fucking health bar from a second fucking enemy. And I'm like, I don't. And it just literally is just crawling towards me and then breathing fire, crawling and breathing fire, crawling and breathing fire. And I had already saved Laturk. I had already saved Laturk, which meant I could summon if I wanted. I had talked to Solaire, which meant I could summon him if I wanted. And I went, I am not going to use a summon on this boss. And that's, in hindsight, is dumb because it's literally a feature of the game that is like, here's a thing you can do. Use it. And I was like, no, fuck that. That's quitter talk.
2v2.
I'm trying to get good. And so I ended up reading some more stuff online. That's the other thing too. I think that I maybe had a sense before that to really like do Dark Souls, I was going to need to just figure out everything entirely on my own. That is a stupid self-imposed limitation because at the end of the day, reading a strat online is not going to beat that boss for me. I have to go do it. I have to get good. I have to go execute it. And so doing that early when I got stuck in the case of like the Bell Gargoyle really helped me to learn about some things that I made out of known. Like I had 3 gold pine resins. I had no idea what they did. And I, in finding a strat online, it said something that you can do is when it gets down to about half health, there is a big period of time where the first Bell Gargoyle stops. Big period of time, 5-10 seconds. And the second one comes in. If you apply a gold pine resin, you can damn near cut him down right there. And then you can just focus on the first one. So I thought, great, I'm going to try that. And son of a bitch, I didn't cut him all the way down, but I got him so close to death. I literally started saying out loud to Tiffany, this is the run. This is the run. This is going to be the run. If I don't fuck it up, this is the run. And getting around the fire, staying close, knowing that the second one is just going to try to incinerate me. And then I can move around the back, get to the second one that's trying to attack me with melee. Killed that one. Then I went, this is it. This is it. I'm going to fucking do it. This is it. I just have to stay close. Got to stay tight. Beating it. Off the couch, both fists in the air, full battle roar of I fucking did it. And you had told me too, like, this is the first really challenging boss. You got this. You got this. You don't back away from it. You didn't say that, but that was the implication. And I went, great. If Senpai thinks I can do it, I could probably do it. And that exhilarating feeling of, oh my God, I can do it. After that, other than getting cursed for the first time and just being like, wow, this fucking sucks. I have not felt that way again. I have not hit anything in this game that made me go, I want to walk away from this game. It has only made me go, I know I can do this. I know I can do this. I just have to take the time to do it right. I have to learn the strat. I have not looked up a boss strat other than the Capra Demon since then. And even then, I didn't use the strat that I found. The strat was, well, I did use part of it. The strat was like run to the stairs as fast as possible so that you can get the dogs into a narrow corridor and then kill the dogs. The rest of the strat was like, then you just get him underneath you and do plunging attacks. I didn't do that. I think I think I maybe did one right after I killed the dogs, but then I went, I have a shield and I haven't even really tried to block any of these attacks. They don't fucking hit for shit with a shield. Like, not even a big percentage of my bar. So once the dogs got out of the way, I went, I'm just going to fight you. I'm just going to watch your pet. He's only got like 3 attacks. So it was just the initial onslaught of, what the fuck is this room? What the fuck are these dogs? This is garbage. How the fuck am I supposed to get over there? And then once I was able to get over there, it was just, okay, I could do this. Like, this is fine. I could do this. But I've not felt frustration like that since then. I've achieved enlightenment. And I know that all things are possible through Solaire, through Sunbro, patron saint of my heart. I do want to summon him for a fight at some point, though, just to be in the spirit of jolly cooperation.
There's a few more opportunities, I think. One, I think, is required for his quest line, which I've never gotten the good ending of, which I want to for this playthrough. That would be nice. It's very difficult to do based on me failing it and then looking up afterwards to see what I did wrong and going, well, how was I supposed to know that? Which there's a lot of that with NPC quest lines. Everyone has sad lives. Everyone's doomed to death or insanity or both. So it's going to happen and you're going to feel bad about it, but that's okay. You can't win them all. You're probably going to feel some frustration again. This game is not over yet. So there are definitely there's at least one waist high wall coming up ahead of you, and then one that you're going to be climbing over in the form of a boss fight. That is a very tough boss fight, and it is pretty hard. I expect to get some texts along the lines of bell gargoyles, if not more than that.
I'm sure you're right. I'm sure that I will feel frustration. I felt frustration today when I lost 11,000 souls to a bullshit off-screen water blast from 200 yards away. But I was also like, was leaving the Hydra with a ranged attack really a very good fucking idea to begin with when I know how to kill these things? No, of course it wasn't. But I will not feel helplessness. And that's the biggest difference. This is not insurmountable. It is hard. That's it.
Hell yeah. You got this, man. You're going to finish this game in like a couple weeks and be like, on to the next one.
Oh yeah, I want to have it done by April for sure. And then it might be time to reopen Bloodborne. And it'd be neat if that times out to where, well, either when we get together, either beating Dark Souls 1 in the room with you will be pretty cool. Or if that's already done, getting my feet wet in Bloodborne again, and just starting a new file on whoever's PlayStation and just getting used to mechanics and having you be able to go, okay, so this is where this is going to feel a little bit different. You're going to want to make sure to do this and that, and you're not using this at all, and that's going to be really useful for you as I translate that over. Or I might just feel like a man god and be like, I understand this now, and just have a great time. I don't know.
There's something so rewarding of being someone else's guide through a game like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, because they are so much of it is like deeply ingrained into my memory at this point. You could probably already feel this way. If someone asked you, hey, how do I get from the Firelink Shrine to the Lower Berg? you could like map it out in your head and like tell them, okay, so you're going to walk past the hollows, you're going to go through the sewer, you're going to drop down, go across the bridge, so that's one of the best things about these games is the world design, the level design is so iconic and thoughtfully done. The enemy placement is part of the level design. Like those are checkpoints. Those are markers for you to help you navigate around. Man,
I'm looking at a Blighttown map again because I remembered that there was a Firekeeper soul down here that I want to go and grab before I go to Quelaag. And that would only be number 2, so it wouldn't.
No, you don't need that. That'll be on your way back up.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. But I like being buffed. I like my potions doing more potiony things.
Just don't get hit. You won't use your potions.
and I really don't, honest to God. Like even the times where I went, okay, I can spare, I'm very stingy with my humanity because I know I'm going to need 30 of them for the Solaire quest line to get the best ending. The times that I have used them to kindle bonfires, some of the time I don't even end up using anywhere near close to 10. The one time that I did, it was going through the hollow that I got to the bottom and I was empty. And I mean, that is like the bonfire's right there. And I went, oh shit. And I saw the mist wall and went, well, fuck me. Of course, if I'd have known there was another fucking bonfire on the other side, I wouldn't have kindled that one. But at the moment, knowing there was a mist wall there, it felt like a pretty safe bet that I'm going to need more of these. There's going to be a boss fight. But yeah, I don't most of the time. I don't really use them. It's either I'm like fighting well and I'm not really taking very much damage, or I'm getting wailed on and I'm probably not going to make it to the next bonfire to replenish them anyway.
No time to heal.
No, there isn't. Like if you are in the middle of a fight, unless it's a boss fight, and you're basically going to sacrifice an entire attack cycle, you don't have time to heal. You're going to get punished. Every enemy in this game is like a fucking magnet to you the second you open a flask. Which is so bullshit, but also makes perfect sense within the rules of this world because NPCs, hollows, also use Estus flasks, and they will heal and open themselves up to punishment the same way that you do in the first area. They teach you that in the Undead Burg. Hey, see what he just did? You just killed him dead. Because he took the time to try to heal while his enemy was still that close to him. What a foolish choice. You should probably not make that same foolish choice in the future. And damned if I'm still trying not to make that foolish choice sometimes, but I'm so monkey-brained, I'm like, I have to, and I'll like back roll.
Health bar low.
Hit an Estus flask, and then I see that wind up coming from the mushroom bed, and I'm like, good night, sweet prince. That's it. Like, I'm about to get knocked into next week. And then sure enough, there I go.
Yeah, you'll have time to take a swig of your Sunny Delight once you kill that mushroom.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I just have to be that much more careful.
A victory pole.
Yes, drawing a deep draft. Man, now I'm just, oh man, I just gotta go play more Dark Souls.
So, depending on which class you start with, you can have different abilities or like sorceries or equipment. I think in this game, I know in Dark Souls 3, I started with, I think it was like a thief, and it started with a sorcery. I can't remember what the name of that sorcery actually was, but there's an equivalent sorcery in this game that I just picked up called Hush that quiets your footsteps so you can like full bore sprint and not alert enemies to your whereabouts. And I don't remember if they really teach you that in this game, but if you're walking, you do not alert enemies nearly as quickly, so you can like walk behind, like slowly like, creep up and get a backstab on someone. But like that's a totally like a different strat to the sprinting around, drawing attention to yourself and just like destroying enemies or trying to pull aggro from afar with a bow and arrow. It's just like slowly walk behind them and they won't notice you, and then you kill them with a nice little backstab with a extremely satisfying goosh sound as you impale them with your sword.
It's so
usually
satisfying.
In their butthole, but sometimes just in their actual back.
It's so satisfying. And just as they fall forward to the ground. Oh, I do wish that your targeting stayed active through that animation. That feels like a really dumb design choice that it just completely goes away after a backstab. It's like, congratulations on doing a really cool thing that we want to encourage you to do within the systems of the game. Now your targeting's gone, suck a fuck, and I have to sit there and just like click the stick until they happen to be in the place of their get up animation that I can target them again and start strafing without fucking up my camera. Because God knows I only have so many fingers that go so many places, and having to have like one finger on A and my thumb on the right stick to move the camera is really annoying sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's Dark Souls jank, baby. I don't know if they even ever fixed that. It might be that way still in Elden Ring, where if you get a backstab, it breaks targeting. Targeting is a huge asset, and also they use that to punish you as a player. Like when the gaping dragon jumps in the air and you're suddenly looking straight up and you don't know what's happening and you don't know which way is down, you don't know which direction you're facing. That's Dark Souls saying, hey bud, no targeting on this one. Free ball it.
Yeah, and that made a big difference. As we were talking about, I was so frustrated that I was losing targeting from distance really quickly, even though I was not that far from the boss, because it was targeting like its ass. Like the furthest point back on its body, partially because a lot of the time the torso's in the air, and that would be a really douchey thing for them to have set the targeting to, because then I'm just going to be looking up in the air the whole time and not able to see what's below me. Because I've learned anything in boss arenas or like the first Titanite Demon, those type of arenas, is that I need to be able to see the floor at all times, or I'm going to run into an obstacle and get killed.
Get stuck on geometry, and then suddenly you are a target. You are the apple, and he's bobbing for you.
He's full bobbed. And that's where, getting better at my rolls has helped me a lot, that when I do get stuck on geometry, I can go fuck, and like side roll right at the opportune moment to get out of the way. Boy, howdy. This was not on my bingo card this year. Really, truly, honest to God, thought this was going to be the college try. But as it turns out, I'm getting my 4-year degree.
You're getting a master's, buddy. You're going to be going straight from this into Bloodborne, getting your postgraduate in Elden Ring. Come on now.
Dr. Gilly for
Dr. Souls.
If I beat all 3 of those games, I goddamn well better be referred to as Dr. Souls at least one occasion on podcasts. That's the guy that makes the foot inserts, right? Dr. Souls.
Dr. Scholes.
Shout out Dr. Scholes.
Putting pillows in your shoes makes them more comfortable. Only a doctor could tell you that. So we just did our top 100. We're talking about that, how Bloodborne is rated and how Elden Ring is rated amongst us, depending on how you feel about those games, if/when you get around to playing them. Because in the context of you just finishing Rebirth and being put on our top 100, this is also an action RPG. This is not, I don't think, I wouldn't consider this a AAA video game. I think this has big, like, niche, AA, kind of cheap, doing a lot with a little. That's what this game feels like to me. How is that finding you? How are you feeling about the systems and the way everything is presented to you? The big, broad stroke. This game is showing you things in a way to try and make you feel a response. And a way a AAA big budget game does that is with effects, with really pristine voice casting, a lot of money. You could feel the money dripping out of it. Think like Uncharted, The Last of Us. But Dark Souls is not doing that. How is that is there anything like whiplash going from Rebirth, a 2024 PlayStation 5 exclusive $70 video game, to Dark Souls, a AA Japanese niche action RPG, a pseudo sequel to a PlayStation 3 exclusive game from over a decade ago?
That's the biggest thing, is not that like you said, there are like clear, definitely AA feeling that it's like, it's not an indie game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not Elden Ring, which is like a AAA Souls game. At least in my own, wholly uneducated estimation, just based on the scope of that game. The bigger thing is it is just feeling how dated it is. And that's not even in necessarily a bad way. In some ways it is, like camera things and getting stuck in geometry. I'm like, this is a very PlayStation 3 problem. that I don't expect a lot of that is happening in the later titles, at least not to as big an extent. But going to the character creation screen for the first time, it just felt very warm and familiar from those like early 2010s, character customized screens with all this sort of janky looking faces and head shapes and hair and thing that just looks like no one. Like, it just, none of them look like people at all. It just looks like a 2012 game developer ideas of people and what they can do on a PlayStation 3, right? That's been the biggest change in feeling. It's just like, this is an old game and it feels like an old game. And I'm also maybe more willing to just be forgiving of some of the jank, knowing that it's an old game. I don't expect it to be the polished experience that a game in 2024 is, in a way that I would be way less forgiving if any of these things happened in Elden Ring. I'd be like, that's fucking inexcusable for a game that's like that highly rated and is designed not exclusively for modern hardware, unfortunately, but can be run on modern hardware and experienced with all of the benefits of modern hardware. That kind of jank, I would be like, we should not be doing this because of the size, because of the fact that it's current. I wonder about the other Dark Souls games. I don't know if I'll ever go to those. Everyone is like, don't even fucking bother with Dark Souls 2. But Dark Souls 3 would be worth your time if you enjoy Bloodborne and Elden Ring after you finish the first one. I may be a completionist about it. I also don't know where I will play Dark Souls 2. If I don't even know if I could buy it on PlayStation 5 or if it's on the PS Plus.
It's on PS4.
Is it? Okay, great. So then I could do that. I know it's sort of the black sheep of the series, maybe even more than Demon Souls is, which is hard to imagine.
Yeah, I think it's got big, it's got black sheep energy, like you said. I wouldn't say it's like not worth playing, but the way I put it is it's not required reading. I started with Dark Souls 3. I went back and played Bloodborne. I played Dark Souls 1, played Elden Ring. And I've started Dark Souls 2, but it has never been in a time or a place in which it was like drawing me in further. So I just took that as a sign as I don't need to play this. It's not pulling me along. Like you said with Dark Souls, it's like grabbing you and just like everything that you see is just gripping you and pulling you towards it. You're on a conveyor belt. And the hardest choice is like choosing between two paths because they both are so appealing and you want to know what's behind each one. So you're doing the thing where you're kind of like zigzagging, going a little bit deeper of both of them because you don't want to get yourself into a situation where you can't backtrack from it or it's difficult to backtrack it because you just kicked yourself in the shins for no good reason. I'm doing that right now in the area I'm in. But I just never got that with Dark Souls 2. So I don't know, like maybe it's just not as good. I mean, if it's the worst Dark Souls game, it's still probably better than a lot of other games, but I just haven't gotten around to it. That's all.
Sure. That'd be kind of cool down the line then to be like, hey, maybe it's time that we do that and can do a little CCP reviews action.
Yeah, DS2, Scholar of the First Sin. It's a cool name for like the definitive edition. Come on, that's like the DLC.
It's pretty cool. There's a lot of pretty cheap steelbooks for this game on Mercari, probably because no one likes this one. So it's easy to get on resale. I think a lot of them are like old hardware or would require old hardware. And I'm like, I'm not playing this game on an Xbox 360. Yeah. But I might pay $15 for that to be my physical version and then just download it digitally. Because I gotta have my physical. I hate that this is the only one on Switch.
Yeah, dude, for real. I wish they would have done some other ones, but I don't know if DS3 would run that well on Switch. It was only made on PS4 and
need one
Xbox
second.
One, whereas this is porting 360. DS2 they could have done, but I don't think that sold as well as the other two. I've probably talked about this with you at some point, and by talked about this with, I mean I talked this at you. But if you think back, hold on, let me actually look this up. 14 years ago, I think it was the first time they did this. Nintendo worked with a third party on one of your most beloved franchises to great failure, very mild acclaim. But the idea was sound. you take Team Ninja, action video game connoisseurs. They're coming off of huge successes. Not huge. I mean, pretty huge for a double A smaller Japanese developer with the Ninja Gaiden like reboot franchise on Xbox, and do an action Metroid game. Third person, less exploration, more combat focused. When I first played Dark Souls 3, and then especially when I first played Dark Souls, was pretty close after the first time I played Super Metroid. Before that, my primary like foot in the door for Metroid was Metroid Prime 1 and 2, Metroid Fusion, and then Super Metroid was a very different experience for me. When I played Dark Souls 1, I thought, this is Metroid. Why don't they do not Prime, not the first person exploration, scanning? Why not do a slow, methodical, grim, difficult, engaging, full of those moments where you kick the ladder down Metroid game? That's personally, I would love that. Exploring a space station as Samus, circuitous, you're in danger, you're powered down, you got Metroided. And it's not like making the jumps. You're unlocking facilities, you're unlocking locations, but it is slow, and you are not a badass. You are a badass in Dark Souls. I mean, you are, but you don't feel like that until you slay your foe, and then you stand up and you fist pump and you yell. But you have to get kicked in the dick a lot of times to really earn that elation of defeating a difficult foe. So, From Software, I would love a Metroid game from FromSoft. Can you imagine, my dude? I would lose my mind.
Man, yeah, that would really be something. I wonder how they would handle the economy of ammunition, I guess, for lack of a better term, of like, what's the conceit for you to go, arm cannon doesn't arm cannon anymore?
Or it could be, I mean, you have ranged attacks in Dark Souls. It's just there is an economy built around it with bows and with casters.
Right.
But if you built the game around that, then you could just have like a light attack and then a charge attack. R1, R2, baby.
That's true.
Hit triangle, get your missiles out, and then suddenly you have ammo for that.
That's true. Keep it in like a limited range, or I mean, you could hand wave it away pretty easily too. Like, there's an electromagnetic field that's disrupted the arm cannon, and Samus pulls this fucking like Chozo ass, power suit ass, sick looking sword out of a Chozo statue. And it's like,
I've told you this before. Dread had this. Dread had you fight Chozo enemies, and they're using spears. Samus with a spear. I've had it up to the goddamn roof with sword users in video games, okay? Give me spears, give me axes, give me anything that ain't a sword, and I'm in. That's so cool. Just shaking it up with that tiny little bit. Ugh.
Hey, I'm with it. I mean, I switched the second that I sprinted through Bone Town and grabbed the winged spear. I switched away from a sword and I never looked back. So I absolutely, that'd be pretty tight. And yeah, you're right. It's in the canon now. It's literally in the canon. That'd be awesome, because this map is a Super Metroid ass map. This is like I didn't know I could get to Meridia from the Brinstar Depths. That's really fucking cool that I can get to this place from that place. What a neat thing that I just discovered in this moment. Oh, I didn't know I could get to this room any other way than the one path I came in, but now I could drop down from the ceiling, which has exposed I morph ball bombed up there, which opened it up, and now I can wall jump to get to there, and all these shortcuts that are developing. Yeah, that'd be fucking cool. Metroid Prime almost was that. I mean, not to that degree of like methodicalness, but the third person over the shoulder, in really early development at Retro, it was supposed to be a sequel to Super Metroid, which is a branching life path that I cannot fathom because of my love for Metroid Prime. But that'd be crazy. That's one of those like, where's the branching life universe that we have to jump over into Everything Everywhere All at Once style to like play that game, to play a FromSoft Metroid game?
I think Retro doing a third person Metroid would have been a mistake at that point. And I think Other M in general was a mistake. I think if we could live a life without Other M, I think we would all be happier.
Yeah.
But I don't think that means that we do not deserve and we do not need another try at a third person 3-dimensional Metroid game.
Yeah, we do.
I think there's still room in this world for that. It's just that was not the right game, and there was a lot of mistakes were made.
And Nintendo, when they make that mistake, it takes them a really long time to go back to something like that. Which is so fucking unfortunate. It's why we had a 10-year, no, not quite 10-year period, because Other M, I think, came out in 2010, but 7 years between that and Samus Returns, and then another 4 until we got Dread. So, I mean, that's 11 years between proper releases because of the stink that Other M left on that franchise. That's sad. That's super sad.
Anyway, I just thought I would bring that up because I do think about that still. I do still think, like, From Software, obviously, I think they're too big to do that now. They've got Elden Ring, fish to fry. That game sold so bonkers, dude. So bonkers.
What did it do, like 20,
Dark
25?
Souls is popular. Yeah, like 25, probably about 25. So crazy, dude.
A lot of fucking units.
And it feels like you play Dark Souls and it feels like this niche sort of hidden gem game from a bygone era. But no, it's one of the most popular video game franchises on the earth. People like to be told to step up. And then you step up and they say, good job.
Step
up again. Yep.
But that step,
like, yeah, you did the thing, but do it again. Now do it again backwards.
Yeah, that was a 2-inch lip that you just stepped up. Here's a 6-inch step. Here's a 12-inch step. Here's a rock wall. Climb it. Step up. Yep. Climb up.
Step up.
Scramble. Fall. Break your back. Heal. Climb up again. Get to the top this time. Profit.
Then Sunbro up there at the top, high-fiving you, saying you did it. Good job. Now to sadly wait for the next release from Software.
Yeah. Well, you got DLC coming soon, my dude.
That's true.
That's going to be nice. That's going to be nice. I wish I could say that I would be able to get through that game in time to get on DLC, but I know it's too much game, and also I don't think I can chain these together. Truly, I don't think I can chain them together. I think I need to palate cleanse, come back. I do still want to dabble Bloodborne a little, mostly just so that I can go, yeah, I'm ready for this game when it's time to play this.
Chris, there's no dabbling. You're either hard in or you're hard out. Last time it was hard out, but this time with the confidence boost of Dark Souls and you understanding the language a little bit more, you're going to be hard in. Like, there's no getting around that. I don't think there's a world where you play Bloodborne for like a couple hours, have a good time, and then say, okay, now I'm going to play something else. Like, you kidding me?
Well, I mean, yes. But if I play it a little bit on your machine or on EJ's machine when we get together, and it's not going to carry over, and it's just like let me have this in my hand, I'm probably still going to do it anyway, aren't I?
Yeah, you're going to Jones, and then you're going to be all like, yeah, you'd go stupid mode for that pretty quick.
I'll look up the how long to beat. The other piece is I don't want to start it and leave it. So I may not have a choice. It just may be where, with all the stuff that I've committed to doing this summer and self-generated, I don't know that I'm gonna I have a ton of dedicated game time. So that's where
fair.
Be maybe like an indie summer. Maybe it's like a small bite summer. Nothing that takes more than 8 hours to beat. That's all that comes up with me is stuff that's 8 hours or less.
Get through a lot of games that way.
Yeah. Some stuff that I started last summer and want to come back to. Got finished Spyro.
Yeah, do that and let me know which ones you're playing, because I've been enjoying dipping my toes back into Dark Souls with you. Like you saying that you were like playing, I'm like, I kind of want to play that right now too. After playing Unicorn Overlord, this futzy menus driven game, going into Dark Souls, which is still got some menuing, but it's really pretty hands off. Like you are mostly just like in it and like focused. Because if you don't focus,
You
then
die.
you're gonna get got.
You're gonna die.
So it is a really good, like, it's not like there is really good tension. And for me, I'm revisiting. So it's like I know the tricks, I know what's gonna be done to me. And if something bad happens, it's like, no, it's water off the duck's back. Like I lose 10,000 souls. I'm like, oh, that sucks. But I'm back in it. So for me, it's like really interesting to be like playing this game alongside you because you are doing the first time Souls run thing and everything hurts so much. But the elations are way bigger. Like I'm not popping off beating the bell gargoyles. I'm sending a funny screenshot because I got the helmet again. And it's happened every single time I've played this game, like 3 or 4 times now. It's like, I get that helmet and you didn't. So fuck you. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, God. It's so unfortunate that I did.
But if this keeps going, then I'm going to beat this game again.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
my buddy.
I'm sure. And yeah, we could talk more about this stuff. Because I haven't even really, like you said, done any of the narrative things. And I haven't really, none of the side quest characters I haven't progressed any of their stories. Like I've just met them.
It's very minimal. I mean, it's exactly what it would be in a dark. I mean, you've played this game now for 20 hours. How in depth do you think the side quests are? Like that's exactly what they are.
I think it's going to run into them and they're going to have new dialogue that's going to be more fucked up than the last time. And then I'm going to run into them again and they may ask me to do something because things have gotten even darker and fuckier since the last time. And then I'm either going to help them and maybe they die a less agonizing death, or they get to live at great consequence, or they die a miserable death and I feel bad about it. That is my full expectation, is to just be in feels badman mode for the whole rest of this game until I beat it. And then maybe I'll feel good and maybe I'll be like, what have I done? I don't know. This strikes me as a game where the ending could be, what have I done?
Well, there are multiple endings, so there's also that to look forward to.
No.
Depending on choices that you make, there's an ending that you're most likely to get, which is like the fine ending, but then there's also like a evil guy ending that's like, I was actually the good guy. This is actually the good thing. It's one of those, you probably have to find a guide or watch a YouTube video if you really want to get them all or whatever. But New Game Plus, always an option.
I want to get what I'm going to get, and then I will watch the other ones. That's my typical MO with a game where I'm like, I don't feel a need to, like, I want to engage with all the content this game has to offer, but I don't necessarily want to like pull up a map for Undead Burg just to make sure I didn't miss like
min-max
an undead soldier's soul. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. What a world. Poor EJ. I remember I posted that I stayed up. This game kept me up till 2:30 a.m. the first day I played it. And EJ's like, well, I've formally lost the podcast. It's over. It belongs to Chris and Nick now. Buddy, we love you. As you like to say, water's warm. Come on in.
He's played quite a lot of Souls. He's played a lot of Bloodborne. He's played a lot of Dark Souls 3. So it's just not for him. And that's a bummer because, like, I love it. You're loving it right now. I wish we could have all 3 of us loving it, but, it's fine. I don't need him to love it for me to love it. I just would enjoy it more. I would be able to talk to him more and be like, commiserate, share excitement for new things happening, get into arguments about which one's better, like the fun stuff, the fun things that we'd like to have these conversations about.
I'm so excited to come to Bloodborne, more ready for it because of what you said in the top 10 episode that I finally got through. Because I only listen to podcasts when I'm driving long distances or when I'm in the gym. And that's like, approximately 4.5 hours a week of gym time. And then we haven't done a lot of tripping right now because we're broke. But you're like, I love when I can suggest things and y'all really like it. And, sometimes I suggest them and you don't like it. But Bloodborne, this one's personal. I think those are your exact words. Like, this one's very personal. I would really, really, really love it if you guys could also love Bloodborne. We may be close to that world. That would make me so happy to be able to share that with you. Because I know what it feels like.
I got you on Hollow Knight and I got you on Bloodborne. Come on, it can happen.
You've been slow walking me towards Souls games where you've been like, yeah, play Hollow Knight. That's a Metroid game, but also is a Souls game. And I was like, this is great. And then, Bloodborne didn't work, but I still think that wasn't the right one to start with. And I think
worth a shot.
Others have shared that sentiment, but I think we're close. So touch wood. And I legitimately am going to go turn Dark Souls on right now.
Yeah, let me know if you get to the boss fight. If it takes you more than a couple tries, I'll come down and we'll duo fuck it up.
Great. Yeah, once I have a strat, if I still haven't, like, I've got my strat locked and I fail a run, I'll be like, great, I feel good about it. Because I do want to do some of the fun learning process stuff, and then bring you. I don't want to just be like, because if I bring you in to just fight the thing, then I'm always gonna feel like there was carrying.
Yep. So
I have to have enough of a frame of reference.
Yep. That's why I said if it takes you a couple tries and you feel like you could do it, but you know what? It's also fun to beat something up with a homie. Or even, you know what? Next time, okay, so the next like canon area, probably don't want to do co-op, but it is really fun. I did this a bit in Dark Souls 3, but it was always in like second playthroughs or New Game Plus is when I would be like, okay, doors open, let's get like 3 of us rolling deep and just like clearing out an area. And that is so much fun to go through an area that you just experienced, you know it really well. But you and a friend and like running through Undead Burg or like running through the parish, killing the boar together, like it is really fun. And there's not a lot of games that let you do that. And then there's also the danger, the fear of being invaded, which is increased when you have people in your world co-oping with you. So then you get some like dark wraith with a really funny, dumb name because it's just a video game player invade your world. And you don't know where they are, but then you see a red phantom and they just are another person and they're here to kill you. They just want to kill you. They want to ruin your day.
I did get
so funny.
I got the story invasion. I did go far enough past the bonfire to get that. And when I killed
Mildred.
Yeah, Mildred the Manslayer.
Maneater Mildred.
Yeah, Maneater, there we go. She dropped the butcher's knife. And because I already had the sack from one of the butcher men, that plus the plank shield that I picked up at that area means that I could do a full RP as one of the butcher boys.
Full cosplay.
Yeah, full cosplay.
Butch it up.
This has been great. I am so glad that this panned out well. And we would have done this anyway, even if EJ wasn't at the beach, but it was kind of serendipitous that we could just like wax about this for like an hour. Put some good radio down. I can send this to some of my other Souls homies and be like, guys, here's my mea culpa. I get it.
It happened to me. It can happen to you too.
Danny DeVito, always sunny meme. I get it. Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been the Console Crusade podcast. This is a Dark Souls podcast now, actually. Dark Souls Crusade podcast. Sorry, EJ.